Tennessee's first game without Zakai Ziegler. The Vols lost to Auburn. I've kind of gotten a weird ebb and flow feel for this team. And Caleb, before the show, you said you didn't expect Tennessee to win either. I didn't either. And I thought that Tennessee would struggle to beat Auburn on the road. That was indeed the case. What did you make of the Vols, their effort, and the first game, what I call a hangover game without Zakai?
Yeah, I thought they would struggle. And quite honestly, I've been so critical of Tennessee all year that people are going to be shocked by me saying this. I think this loss was a little much ado about nothing. I think the issues with Tennessee were going to be there whether or not they won this game, because this game you're playing Auburn is still a really good team on the road. And look, Tennessee didn't do all the things I've criticized about them weren't really on display in this game. I mean, they were 8 of 17 from three. Vescovi showed up, did what he needed to do, scored 21 points. Tennessee dropped 70. I mean, the thing was, Auburn just scored 79, and it was one of those games where Auburn was – I mean, we know Tennessee's defense is great, so it wasn't – I don't think it was like a laziness on the defensive end, really. I think Auburn was just shooting the ball well and playing well offensively. I think the only thing I might say is Auburn only had 6 turnovers. Now, this is where the Zakai Ziegler injury comes into play. Ron Slade told us last week, to his credit, the first thing he said was the defense would be the hardest thing to replace because Ziegler's just so pesky on the perimeter that he forces a lot of turnovers. And that seems
reminds me of Teron Lue.
Oh, that's a great one.
Pesky little defender. Who was it that he defended when the Cavs had that awful team that made it to the finals, and he just was in somebody's face the whole time? It was I think it was in the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe
2007. Was it? I don't remember. See, my memory of Teron Lue in the finals, sorry, is still getting stepped over by Allen Iverson. But
okay, but I think that's a pretty good comparison. And when you lose that, he was a very important player in that run. And now without Ziegler, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I just think that might be the one concern to pull from this. But I don't think you can use one game as a measurable for this. I think more it's just Tennessee's had longstanding issues all year. Look, if Tennessee was still the number 2 team in the country or the number 1 team in the country, this would have been a game I had them pegged to lose. I mean, this is a type of game that teams this year lose in college basketball. Auburn's a decent team. You're playing them on the road. The tempo they run. I personally don't think this loss is that big of a deal. I just think the way the season ended as a whole is a big deal, if that makes sense.
Yes, I completely agree with that. I've gotten pretty good. I think, Caleb, you would agree with this. I'm not just tooting my own horn of feeling the ebbs and flows of this team. I thought they would beat number 1 Alabama, and then there are a couple of losses I felt like. And usually I can get a feel for a team about mid-February to March, and I did not think they would win on Saturday. How big of a loss is it? Well, I mean, that's the question we'll ask in 4 Downs. And 4 Downs today is brought to you by our friends at Bassey Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Bassey Lawn and Garden has the industrial mowers, the commercial mowers, where you'll want to make the drive from Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga, doesn't matter. Get to Cleveland, Tennessee. Man alive, it is worth the drive. Bassey Lawn and Garden also, if you're nearby, they've got the residential mowers as well. So let's get to it. 4 Downs basketball style, brought to you by Bassey Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. We'll just start that over.
4 Downs. 4 questions. 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show.
4
Downs. A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
Well, we've addressed this to some extent, but how big of a loss was that to Auburn? How concerned should Tennessee fans be? I say not very. I think the way the season ended, as you mentioned, which is 4 wins in the last 10 heading into the SEC tournament, I think that's disappointing. But I don't think the loss on the road for senior day, and Bruce Pearl is going to get them up emotionally. I don't think that loss in and of itself is a major dent in what they can do moving forward.
I agree. I don't think this loss by itself is a big deal. I think the only reason this loss is somewhat a big deal to people is because of how they ended the season overall. It's like when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I one time got suspended from school for my cell phone going off. Remember those days when they still didn't let your cell phone? You have your cell phone in school.
No, we didn't have a cell phone then, but go ahead.
Okay, yes. Well, we did it, but they didn't let you have them on you. My cell phone went off by accident. I got suspended from school for a day. It was really stupid. I was doing really poorly in school during that time. My mom was like, if your grades were up, this suspension wouldn't be that big of a deal. But they're not up, so it's a big deal. And that's exactly how this Auburn loss is.
I like it. Can Santi Vescovi replace Zakai Ziegler? And I'm not necessarily saying at the one spot, bringing the ball up. I'm not saying an X's and O's standpoint, but he did score 21 points, 8 of 13 from the field, 5 of 9 from three-point land. He has a little bit of fire to him. Can he replace Ziegler significantly enough for the Vols to move forward, not miss a beat with Zakai on the bench for the rest of the year?
Not by himself. He can replace Ziegler offensively, but the one thing that we talked about was Ziegler's lack of defensive presence was missing on Saturday, or his defensive presence was missing on Saturday, and that's going to fall more on Josiah and Jemai Meshach than it is Santi Vescovi.
Okay, that answers third down. Who else needs to step up? So do you think it is, if you had to pick one guy, is it Josiah?
Yes, it's Josiah. He's finally getting healthy. By the way, he had 10 points on Saturday. I know he was 4 of 12 from the field, so it wasn't like he was that good, but he was 2 of 6 from 3. So, yeah, I think Josiah is going to be the guy to step up.
There you go. All right. Does this affect your tournament opinion? I think I know your answer on this. You and I both, not to be negative Nellies, as somebody posted over the weekend. I haven't heard that term used in about 50 years. But not to be negative Nellies here, but I hope, hey, listen, it's great for us if Tennessee makes the Final Four. It's great content. However, I don't see any better than a Sweet 16 team. And I'm not sure I see that at this point. Again, the tournament's magical. It can do all kinds of things. They could play in the national championship game. They could win it all. That's the way basketball is. But right now, nothing that happened on Saturday adversely or positively affected my opinion of what Tennessee basketball will do in the tournament. You?
No, not at all. I'm right there with you. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it changes anything we thought about Tennessee entering the tournament. SEC tournament, this different story because now they're playing on Thursday, but that's a different story.
Yep. All right. We'll switch gears. Yeah, they will play on Thursday. So how significant is that? You're playing on Thursday.
Not as significant to me because I think you and I both agree that they shouldn't even be trying to win the SEC tournament. Like, I think they should. I'm with you. I maybe don't purposely throw it like you suggest, but I say maybe don't play your starters or play them like 15 minutes.
Throw it. Throw it. Throw the SEC tournament. I want the headline on this individual video to be why Tennessee should throw the SEC tournament.
This one right here? Okay.
Yes. Just chuck it, get a week's rest, and go into the NCAA tournament ready to roll. You got to agree with that. I mean, just chuck it. Who cares? If you're Rick Barnes, you don't have to tell anybody. It's just some subtle substitution patterns, and maybe you run something goofy, or I don't know. There's got to be a way that I just think Tennessee, listen, I think and I've said this for years, it's not because of this team. The SEC basketball tournament is a money grab. Okay. And the SEC tournament is about making a little bit more cash off of basketball. At the end of the day, I've seen teams that play in the championship game go entire to the NCAA tournament. I'm fine with throwing the SEC tournament. I don't know. Are there even rafters in individual coliseums and arenas around the SEC for winning the SEC tournament? Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a thing.
Why?
Because there's also rafters for making the NIT.